week 4. What are we hoping for?
Something different.
Red violet.
Oh, pretty. Hello, and welcome to Week Red Violet. These are the tools that I will be using today, and I will go ahead and list the colors in the description box below. Here we go. First up is my swatch page. So I kind of cheated here. Well, not cheated. I had a great jump start for this. And I found these napkins, these collage napkins or serviettes, as some of you call them, by Jane Davenport. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can just cut out the purples, the reds, and the dark pinks. And that's what I did. I trimmed them out and laid them in this overlapping fashion, added some red violet and a few marks, and that's it. And it was kind of hard not to scribble all over and make further marks, but I really like the way this page turned out. Next up is my collage entry, and there's a little bit of a story here behind this girl. I drew her on a large tag about 3-4 years ago, and I hang on to things, and now I know why. Anyway, the original, the top was different. It wasn't, it was a lighter red. So I thought, oh, what if I color it in with red violet, add a little bit of detail? And so that's what I did. And I thought, okay, ready to go. And so I made copies in different sizes, but it wasn't bright enough for the red violet, so I just went for it and I cut the original. I'm glad I did. I did give her a little bit of a haircut, which I'm not too crazy about, but it's okay. That's the whole point of it, is just to experiment and have fun. So I let go of that imperfection, and I drew a little heart there on the coffee cup and added that caption. So I'm going to show you how I did the background and share that with you next. Just like last week's red orange, red violet is very intense. So as you can see on the right, I have my colors, and I'm loading up a sponge brush very liberally with all the colors and just making a circular motion. I don't want to fill up the page with color. So there it is, just making those swirls. And because the brush is so loaded and concentrated with color, you want to, if you do this process, let it dry thoroughly before going on to the next step. The next entry is the painted page, and I'm really going in blind. And I have to confess, I have a tendency to be heavy-handed on a page. I'm not very good at white space or leaving it. I always have to add it. So I'm already thinking, don't do too much. Again, this is a very intense color. The only addition here besides white is Paynes Grey. It's really lovely with this color. So I'm gonna go for it. I'm not gonna use a brush, just a palette knife and maybe my fingers and my small brayer. So here goes. It's always scary to start out, especially with a dark color. And in my mind's eye, I know I want the colors on the left to go vertically on the whole page, and then I want it to just move and flow into the right, onto the right page rather. But okay, I'll reserve for my comments as we go along. So now you see purple and I'm digging it. It's really, really pretty. And just brushing it on. Now I've got, or not brushing, adding it with the palette knife. Now there's the introduction of red. I'm trying to think of which red that is. I think it's the Naphthol red. Now I'm trying the brayer, and I'm loving the texture that I see there, although I'm not crazy about the sharp edges and lines. So let's soften that with the palette knife and continue on. Okay, no, that's the Naphthol red, and that is a lot. It's a lot. So now I'm going to go with the, I think that's primary red. Next is the magenta, so I can kind of soften things up. And as I'm working, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's such a mess. Blobs of mess. But let me tell you, this is the part where you just have to go for it and continue, because, you know, it's just paint, and it has to go through this process, ugly or not. I mean, sometimes you look out and you love the whole thing right from the start, but that doesn't always happen. So I'm just going with it, trying to ignore that the camera's on, and again, telling myself, what the hell did I do? Look at these blob marks. But that's okay. I'm being really honest with you. So at this point, it also makes me determined to make it all work. Again, with the brayer that adds this wonderful texture. But I don't want to blend it too much, because then it looks like a blended blob. And at times, when I feel like this, I'm thinking back, and that's when I tell myself to just let it happen. Let it happen organically. This is how you learn. And I'm constantly reminding myself, this is a study in color. I mean, a loose study in color, where we're experimenting, I'm experimenting, and really playing with this. And nobody has to like it. I don't even have to like it. Just keep going. So now I'm adding the magenta there, trying to soften up the Paynes Grey, and now I'm getting colors that I really like. I like the placement. I like that it's on the far left of the page, and I'm rather surprised that I was able to leave some white space. And now I'm being kinder to myself, and I'm feeling more at ease, because again, I'm realizing this isn't a masterpiece. I can walk away, I could leave it. This is my journal. It's going to have goof ups. And I know that a year from now, when I look back, I will have fond memories of this and be able to laugh. So now I'm adding more red. I'm just doing the dance with the three colors here. I'm done with the Paynes Grey. So now I'm focusing on the violets, the reds, and that Quin Magenta, which to me on its own, Quin Magenta is a red violet to me. So now it's just time for accents, and I think I will just let you watch here for a while. Now that it's dry, it's looking good. I mean, I like the variation in color. I thought I would add white, more blobs. No, just kidding. Add white. It's not necessarily to tone it down. It's more to add interest. So I really love using a brayer for this. And the tricky thing about it is, I mean, you can try your best, but it's interesting with a brayer because you are left with surprises as well. So in addition to pushing back the background there, I'm also trying to soften those hard edges by having your eye look at the white and calming it down, if you will. Next, I'm going to add some scribbles with just a simple Papermate pencil, just lightly, just to soften those edges, because I didn't want to add more paint. So this is a little trick I use. It fools the eye a little bit. Okay, so there's a spot there that's a little wet, so I had to be careful there. And so I'm just continuing on, trying not to get heavy-handed again. But I think that does the trick. So next up, it's time to bring back more of the red violet. I thought about using the inks, but I didn't want to add any runny paint to it because then it just get too much. So I decided on using that stamp and just apply the paint with my fingers and just doing it sparingly. I get a first layer on and then I blot the other colors. And as you know, that's how I mix, quote unquote, my colors. So here's the process for that. And as you can see, it's going to just bring everything together. And there it is. I think I'll call this Roses Are Red, Violets Are Blue. And I really hope that you enjoyed this week and watching a little bit more of the process that was involved in creating these pages. And come back next week as we tackle a new color in our color collaboration. Thanks again, you guys. Bye-bye.